You know, when you hear the word brand, what pops into your head? Probably massive companies, right? Slick logos, big ad budgets. But what if I told you that building a brand is actually less about all that corporate machinery and way more about a fundamental human story? Well, that's exactly what we're going to dig into in this explainer, how to build a really powerful brand by starting with, well, with you.
I love this proverb because it gets right to the heart of it. We are creatures of narrative. It's just how we're wired. And the most powerful brands on the planet, they get this. They don't just sell you a thing, they tell you a story, one that hooks into us on a really deep human level.
So where does this story even begin? It starts with the founder. It starts with you. Your brand isn't some separate thing you create over there. No, it's born from your own personal journey, from what you're passionate about, from your ambitions. The humanity that you bring to the table, that is its single most powerful asset.
And this is exactly why the best brands they feel different, don't they? They win because they connect with our emotions, not just our logical, rational brain. They manage to capture some little piece of our own humanity and reflect it right back at us. And that creates a connection that's personal and incredibly powerful.
Okay, so this brings us to a really crucial point, a redefinition really. Before you can even think about building a brand, you've got to bust a few common myths and get super clear on what a brand actually is. So let's do that. Let's get the fundamentals straight.
This right here, this cuts through all the noise. A brand isn't the logo you paid someone to design. It's not the ad you run on social media. Those are just tactics. They're tools. The brand itself is that gut feeling people have about you. It's the story they tell themselves about what you do. And it's the promise that you make, and most importantly, the promise that you keep.
See, this is why it's not about what you say your brand is. It's about this entire universe of perceptions that lives inside the minds of your audience. Your brand lives out there, in the world, and it's being shaped every single day by countless different interactions. Let's take the British store John Lewis as an example. Sure, people associate it with things like quality and great service, but you know what else is part of that brand's meaning? Words like boring or stuffy. Now here's the really interesting part. That's not a weakness. In this context, boring actually translates to reliable, consistent, and that's a powerful foundation for building trust.
So why does any of this matter? Because let's be honest, we are drowning in choices. A strong brand acts like a mental shortcut. It's a signal we've learned to trust, and it helps us slice through all the noise and make a decision we feel good about without having to analyze every single tiny detail.
Okay, so if a brand is this big, complex feeling, how on earth are you supposed to steer it? You can't just leave it to chance. You need a guide, and that guide is your strategy. Now, forget what you think about boring business plans. I want you to think of your strategy as your most loyal companion on this journey.
I just love this metaphor. It makes strategy feel less like some stiff document sitting at a drawer and more like this powerful, protective force, you know? When things are going great, it stops you from chasing every shiny new distraction. And when times are tough, it's always there to pull you back to safety.
And to use that strategy well, it is absolutely vital to know the difference between strategy and tactics. Your strategy, that's your North Star. It's the big picture destination, where you want to go. Tactics, those are all the individual actions you take to get there. So many people get lost because they confuse the two. You've always got to start with your destination first.
All right, now for one of my favorite parts of this whole process. It's powerful and it's a little bit counterintuitive. To craft a really compelling brand story, you have to know who you're telling it to. But the best way to find them? It's probably not what you're thinking.
So, instead of trying to perfectly define your ideal customer, what if you just flipped that question completely on its head? I mean, think about it. Defining your enemy customer, the people your brand is absolutely 100% not for, is an incredibly effective way to sharpen your focus.
Let's imagine you're opening a quirky boutique hotel. Who are your enemies? Well, maybe it's the bargain hunters who are always looking for the cheapest deal. Or maybe it's people who actually prefer those minimalist, kind of bland corporate rooms. By clearly stating who you are not for, you end up painting this vibrant, amazing picture of who you are for without needing some restrictive checklist. You attract your tribe by proudly excluding everyone else.
And honestly, this is such a liberating truth. When you try to be everything to everyone, you end up being nothing special to anyone. A strong brand has a clear point of view. It has the confidence to say, hey, we're probably not for you, which in turn makes its real customers feel even more seen, even more understood.
So you've got your story. You know who you're telling it to. Now what? How does that story actually come to life? Well, it happens through experience.
It's built in every single solitary interaction a person has with your brand.
Your brand is literally built from thousands of different touchpoints. We're talking everything from your biggest, flashiest marketing campaign all the way down to the tiniest, most forgettable little detail. And every single one of those moments is an opportunity to either reinforce your brand story or to undermine it.
A brand doesn't just live in an ad. It lives in the way your team answers the phone. It's in the design of your packaging. It's in the tone of voice you use when you're handling a customer complaint. The greatest brands are absolutely obsessive about making every single one of these touchpoints, big or small, feel consistent and true to their story.
At the end of the day, this isn't just a business exercise, is it? It's a deeply human one. Every business, every project, heck, every single one of us has a story. So the final question is this: are you consciously, consistently, and authentically telling yours? Because if you're not, trust me, someone else will be.